What's happening, everybody? It's your boys, Steve Strezza, Sean McLaughlin. This is the Flow Show. Hot topic right before we went live. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do after the market closes today. Am I going to go play 9 holes or go for a hike? Strezza says I should golf.
And here's why I said this to Sean. He hikes all the time. So
He's
just,
not wrong.
uh
Strezza, you're not wrong. Maybe that's the deal breaker.
well, well,
Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't golfed all summer, so
yeah.
that's it. I'm golfing.
You said you used to go like once a week
I
through like
used
the
to.
pandemic.
I had a great rhythm during the pandemic. There was this like really divey 9 hole golf course, a short drive from my house, and I used
Yeah.
to go first thing in the morning at sunrise,
Yep.
and there'd be nobody there, not even the staff. Like the staff just got to know me. They're like, "Hey, if we're not here when you show up, just go play. You could pay us on the way out. It's totally cool."
Dude,
And
You're
I
out
did
there
that
by
every week during the pandemic. It was awesome.
you're out there by yourself first thing in the morning. The dew is still fresh. You got the sunrise is still fresh. It's like pure meditation. That's
Yeah,
so
seriously, it was the best. And like I kind of got spoiled. Like that's the only way I want to play golf now.
right. Yeah. No, I the COVID times were interesting for golfers. Um
Yeah.
the courses that stayed open. But no, golf is strange, right? Because if you start going, like you could get the bug, and I'm hoping that happens to you, where like it just catches you, right? And then you
Yeah.
want to golf all the time. So yeah, I
No,
vote
I'm
golf.
very streaky with golf. I definitely go through runs where like I'm playing every week
Yeah,
and then I take a week off and then I don't play for 3 months. It's how it goes with me.
it's most people have a serious love-hate relationship with the game of golf.
Well, the nice thing about where I live here in Colorado, this might surprise a lot of people who've maybe never been here, but you can pretty much golf year round here. I
Yeah,
mean, it could be tricky in the wintertime, but there's often plenty of nice days you can play in
yeah,
January and February here, and that would surprise a lot of people.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
So what
All right.
else?
Well, look.
Hold on. So on the morning show today, you joined us and we said, okay, we got to cancel the flow show. But I just hit you up like an hour ago. I was like, let's do this thing. We love doing the flow show. We basically come on here. We get to talk about whatever's moving, whatever's on our minds. We get into the options always, right? Of course, because that's the subject of the show. But I think we got to touch on utilities today. No?
No, I actually really do want to touch on utilities because I was looking for a trade to put on for our subscribers this morning, and I was looking at the XLU, the utilities index, just getting creamed this morning, and I was thinking to myself, man, I would really like to sell some premium in some kind of utility stock, but I couldn't find any that I liked that didn't look like they were getting destroyed.
Yeah.
What are you seeing out there? It's definitely caught my attention.
You haven't sold premium in utilities recently? I feel like that would have been low hanging fruit.
No, like if you look at her, I'm going to pull up my chart here real quick, Izzy,
Yeah.
if you want to throw my screen up. This XLU, I mean, you look at this chart. I mean, this is not a chart I want to be making any short delta neutral premium trades in.
That's right.
That's a very directional move. I don't like it. It's hands off. But if there was a utility sector stock that is stuck in a range that's also seeing implied high rising implied volatility because all the other utility stocks are selling off, that would have my attention for a trade right now.
There's nothing, man. It's the whole group is going. I just tweeted a what I thought was a pretty hot take, and somebody said, "No, don't overthink this. It's just this one stock, Nextera, dragging everything down, which is the most heavily weighted component in all these utilities indexes, but it's not. It's just straight across the board. They're all down 4 or 5%. The whole space is getting hit. This is a macro thing.
Now,
And
is
I
this
think,
the next question I had was, is this due to what's going on in the interest rate space? Like, were
yeah,
people just invested in these bonds because or these utilities because they paid great dividends and they were better than bonds?
yeah, and that hasn't been the case for a while. So this seems to me like some sort of an inflection point. I don't know how much worse this gets, right? Like I'm sitting here thinking to myself, who still owned utilities? Like who's out here selling? Who owned these things? Because the bond market's been giving you 5% for a while now, which is far better than the average yield you'll get from a utility stock. So I thought maybe, everybody who wanted to be out was already out, but it seems like no. I just think if you throw up my chart here, Izzy, of the 10-year and then real estate and utilities, we call these stocks bond proxies. Have you heard that? These are bond proxies. REITs often get put in that category too with utilities. What that basically means is they're going to move with bonds, right? Because people are there for the yield. And as the yield gets more attractive, right, on a bond, as it is, like interest rates just broke out, which you see here in the upper pane with this 10-year chart, right? You got this nice base breakout or consolidation breakout. You tend to see lower prices, not just in bonds, but in bond proxies, right? So REITs fall, utilities fall. And I tweeted this chart out last week, and I said you're getting some really nice confirmation from equities for the bond market, right? And what I mean by that is utilities and real estate. These charts are inverted. They're breaking the new lows along with TLT and bonds as rates are breaking out to new highs. So I think that's all this is. And if rates can, break out here, stay elevated, and maybe get more elevated, I mean, the investment thesis, the bull thesis for owning these stocks just disappears more and more. I don't even think there's anything there now, but it just gets worse and worse. So I don't know.
Yeah, it feels to me like it's one of those situations where like everyone who is an active market participant knows that uh, utilities pay consistent dividends
Yeah.
and these stocks were attractive in a low interest rate environment. That's not a secret, but it feels like while interest rates were rising, everybody knew that this switch would happen, but everyone just kind of took their time with it and it mattered. It didn't matter until it did. And now all of a sudden it matters and everyone's taking action all at once.
You're absolutely right. So since March of this year, rates have been steadily rising, steadily rising, steadily rising, and Utes and real estate stocks have been like, nah, kind of going sideways. It wasn't until we got this range breakout where I think market participants are coming around and like, oh, okay, rates aren't just rising anymore. They're establishing a new range and getting ready for a new leg higher. This is going to be actually even worse than we thought for these bond proxy stocks. And then you just saw the absolute collapse, like, watershed movement lower since last week. And, the other good thing or the other positive thing, reason why people are attracted to utility stocks is that they're safe and they're low volatility. They shouldn't do this is what they tell us. You want your low volatility stocks to fall 5% in a day? I
No.
don't I don't understand what this sector offers the average investor at this point. There's nothing here. I wouldn't sell premium in it. I wouldn't touch it on the long side. I wouldn't try to catch a falling knife. I think this is bad and getting worse. And it's also nothing new. It's also just kind of the continuance of a long-term trend on relative terms where utilities relative to anything are at all-time lows and have been falling for over a decade consistently. Oh, I don't see that getting better. Maybe one day, but the environment has to drastically change, I think, from a macro perspective.
Yeah, I'm doing some back of the envelope math here, but just from the middle of September, so just 2 weeks ago, the XLU has dropped more than 20%. That's not what you want to see when you're investing in dividends.
These are supposed to be low volatility stocks, something that, an advisor would say, yeah, put some utilities in your portfolio. They're not going to move much on you. You're not going to see much in terms of price appreciation or depreciation, and you collect your 3 or 4% yield. I don't see it, man. I don't know what the investment rationale is for these stocks anymore.
Now, here's a question that you and I didn't discuss before we went live, but is this the canary in the coal mine? Is this the thing that signals that there's another leg lower coming in stocks broadly?
I think it could be real estate. I I think the problem with utilities, most of these entities are regulated entities, right? So, in other words, this is your local power supplier, right? So the government is there to make sure that they make enough money to get by, but don't make too much, right? So they cap the downside and they cap the upside. They're not going to like blow up, right? You're not going to see a blow up in this sector. They're far too regulated. Real estate, yes. Yeah, I think commercial real estate continues to be that potential issue.
Oh, but man, that's been the potential issue for what, 10 years now? 8 years
That's
now?
You make a great point, right? Like I'm always sitting here thinking like, what would that black swan be? By definition, a black swan is something you don't know about. Everybody's been screaming at the top of their lungs about commercial real estate for several years now, right? So could it get worse? Sure, but it's been well advertised. So I don't
Right.
think either of them are really it. I think actually, from an intermarket perspective, the price action from these two sectors right now makes a ton of sense. Like you said, it was on a lag, if anything, right? This is a big catch up move lower.
Yeah. It's like everybody knew it was happening, but nobody was acting on it, and now they've all decided to act at once.
Well, they were waiting, right? Rates, everybody, do you remember just a few weeks ago, everybody thought this move in rates was a fail. right?
Mhm.
Everybody thought it was going to fail and roll over, fail and roll over. Nobody thought interest rates could break out, start a new leg higher. Even utility stock investors clearly didn't believe it. Now they're playing catch up. I think that's it. But I wouldn't touch these things with a 10-foot pole. I don't think there's anything to do in either.
Well, look, regular viewers of the Flow Show know that we do not operate with a script here, but we're definitely going off script here because if you want to bring up the flow report from this week and look at the list, I mean, there's got to be you got to really have something that's really outstanding on this list for me to take a directional bet in this market, Straza, because I just want to sell premium. That's what I'm looking for. I'm embarrassed because that's all I've been saying for the last 6 weeks, but that's the only thing that's really been paying is selling premium. Is there anything here that's going to make me change my mind?
So I was just talking to Alfonso. I said, what stood out? What's the trade from this list here this week, right? Because we will typically find a long idea and make a directional bet based on the flow in this table. And that's what the flow is for, right? We're not looking at bullish options flow or bearish options unusual flow and saying to ourselves we want to sell premium. No, we are making the assumption that all of this bullish and bearish unusual flow is due to people making a directional bet. So we try our best to put one on. He did AVTR. This is what Fonz likes. And it's because there's nothing else good. So what I will say is if you're looking to sell premium, would I buy this? No, never. It's scrounging around here on the lower bounds. It's a well-tested area of interest, right? Because you can see the pre-COVID highs back in 2019, 2020. Even after COVID, you got to touch there. And we're just touching this level over and over and over again over the past 4 years now. So I think if you want to sell premium, something like this right up against support. Listen, if this thing was going to break support, it's had 2 months to do it, right? The market's been terrible since July. This thing keeps hanging on. I don't want to say higher prices for Avantor, but maybe sideways. Looks really good for something like this.
Yeah. If Izzy, if you pull up my chart here on the lower pane of my chart, I've got the implied volatility for AVTR options. There's a weird print here in early September that's kind of skewing the chart. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, it's strange,
Feels
right?
weird. But if you ignore that, it looks like the low was right around here, around 0.28, and the highs up there around 0.53. So we're kind
For
of
the
in the
range.
middle of the volatility range, which is not really strong signal in either direction. I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible place to sell premium, but I'm looking at this chart, Straza, and I'm thinking this is one I kind of want to put in my back pocket and watch it and see if it continues to hold this 1950 level. And if we get a resolution higher in the stock market at some time down the road, if this stock is still hanging in this range and still held that 1950, it could be a good longer term bullish bet. It's not the bet I want to make right now, though.
What would scare me about selling premium in this one here today is if the corrective action does pick up momentum. This thing is sitting right here at a key level. God forbid it violates it, probably get a nasty leg lower and it blows that whole trade up, right?
Yeah, I agree. Also, oh, this is weird. I'm showing. Oh no, it's not weird. October 27th is its next earnings event, so that's also a red flag. You got 4 weeks until earnings.
Yeah, it's
Don't
that
like
time
selling
again,
premium ahead of
Sean.
that.
It's like we get a couple weeks and then it's right back to earnings season. But we got to check all our charts again for the upcoming earnings. We're right back there. Let me try this on you.
Okay.
I know you're a tough sell on directional bets right now. The reason we didn't write about this one today is because we wrote about it a few weeks ago and it keeps popping up with bullish flow. This is Dell Technologies, good old Dell. These legacy tech stocks, some of them
Ooh.
have been trending really well. This is one of them. Not many tech stocks are trading right at new all-time highs today. Coiling in this little bull flag. I guess it's really a pennant formation after a monster gap up move on its last earnings report. We do have the 261.8% fib. Coming into place here at about 72.50. I don't know. I don't hate it. If the market
That's
finds its footing, right? These are failed breakdowns in something like the NASDAQ 100 or large cap tech, and we get some sort of bull hook higher at the index level, the strongest ones are going to be trending well. And Dell's one of them.
well. This, I mean, I'm looking at your chart. I'm looking at the chart I've got, and there are very few stocks that look like this right now. So that's very notable. Very notable. Um,
Extended though, right? Bit extended.
Well, I mean, on your time frame, you're looking at that's a weekly chart, right? That you're
Yep.
showing.
Yep.
On that, it's extended, but I mean, it's consolidated for the last what 3 4 weeks. I mean,
It's
so
ex-
that's
it's extended in a constructive way.
right, exactly. Like this is not a stock in a stable to bullish market environment. This is not a stock I would be afraid to buy.
Right.
I'd probably have put a stop in around 65 just to protect myself. But no, I would, in a normal market environment, I would like this setup very much. I don't like it right now. I don't like anything long right now.
Right.
Um, but I like it. It's a good
So
looking chart.
what if I said to you, 2 or 3 days from now, Sean, we got that confirmation. All of these short-term tops failed. We hooked higher. Tech and the Nasdaq are back on their way above those pivot highs. We got the follow through we wanted. Then you would be interested in a stock like this.
Well, look, the nice thing about being an options trader like me is that if I wanted to take a bullish flyer on this thing, I could do it in a risk defined way so that if the market decides it wants to keep going lower and drag everything down with it, at least I could rest comfortably knowing I've defined my risk in a very responsible way.
How would
So,
you do it?
um, well, implied volatility is pretty not cheap right here. So I would probably do some kind of bull call spread, maybe buy, I mean, I'm not looking at the prices, but maybe buy a 75 strike call and sell an 85 strike call. Let's see. Let me bring up the options prices here. Like looking in January right now,
They're
feels like
not
a good.
super expensive, right? I checked them out quickly. Pretty reasonable.
Yeah, you could buy. I mean, you could buy a 75, 85 bull call spread for about what, buck 75 here. Let's see what that works out to be.
Crazy. Not
Uh,
crazy.
bu-
It's $70 stock.
yeah, buck 68 is what it would cost you. That's not terrible. And you
It's not
know,
a crazy mover. It would be low volatility within tech, right?
right. Well, look, it's sitting at 67. The bet we'd be making if we got long is not only that Dell would be a leader, but the stock market is going to make another run back at all-time highs. And if that happens, this thing moving to 85 does not seem that much of a stretch at all in that type of environment.
It's doubled from its what, March lows?
Yeah. So look, all right. So here, for those of you, I'm not one of them, but for those of you who are feeling bullish and want to get positioned in the best stocks with the best setups right now, this Dell looks great. I would probably do it with a, like I said, January 75, 85 bull call spread. I like that idea. I think that for those of you who are aggressive out there, who've got that bug, go for it. This is the one.
Yep. I'm with it. This is a leader right now in a leadership sector. So it kind of checks all the relative strength boxes. We could define our risk really well right here at the pivot highs in the 261.8. You'd even wait and buy on strength, wait to get that confirmation for that next leg, maybe go a little further out. We'll keep it on our radar. I'll bring it back up in future flow shows.
All right, look, it's only Monday.
Yeah.
We have the rest of the week till we get to the weekend. But I don't know if you've already made your weekend plans, Straza. But Sunday morning, if you want to go out for brunch, a little 9 o'clock game. The AFC's number one seed, the Buffalo Bills, are playing in London. 9 o'clock start for you out there in the East Coast. A little breakfast and Bills.
So the plan is we're all going and tailgating at the Dolphins Giants game Sunday. And
Oh, is that
JC,
this weekend? Okay.
yeah. And JC's buddies, they're having it's like a bachelor party situation. I'm just crashing it. JC's buddies, they're doing the whole big tailgate thing. There will be a TV there. The Bills will definitely be on. And everyone I'll be hanging out with will be rooting against them, but I'll be thinking of you.
Hey, that's okay. That's all
I'm
right.
going to be surrounded by Miami guys. Listen, I'm not going to be their friends either on Sunday because they're playing the Giants. So, us New York guys will have to stick together, I
Well,
guess.
Bills and Dolphins, according to my math, they've got two more matchups happening this season. Once in January and once again in January, if you know what I mean.
You think so?
I think so. I think that's where it's headed.
Listen, I secondarily root for the Dolphins, so that would be fun. I hope they can keep it together and make the playoffs. But I just keep thinking to myself, they started red hot last year too. I heard all the same things from JC last year about best offense in the league, right? Won the first couple games, and then it all fell apart. So
Kind of like those Miami Hurricanes. It's the same story. Must be something in that football city. I don't know.
Very bullish on the Hurricanes this year. I think there's something there. I think it's going to be. Hey, we're going to be the best team in Florida this year. Watch out. Watch out.
All right, I'll be rooting for your Giants this weekend. But hey, thanks for tuning into the Flow Show. He's Steve Strazza. I'm Sean McLaughlin. We'll be back next week talking about both of our teams with big wins on this weekend coming up. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you
Thanks
next
for
time.
joining, everybody.